Hi, I'm just back from a 13-day tech trip that I've just recently done. We had 13 days away, a day either side travelling on the ferry, so we had 11 days riding in the northwest of Spain, and we followed the Tet loop around there towards going towards Portugal and Santiago de Compostela. And I'd just like to go through the kind of gear I used, the stuff I used, and how I set my bike up. As you can see, I had the Enduro Stand Sandstorm 4X tank bag, which was brilliant. It kept all the little things I needed up close, like my camera, the Velcro bit pocket on the top, had all my documents as I went through the ports coming to and from Spain, and that was really handy. I used my phone and my GPS. I had my phone with Osman Maps, and I normally had that about 2 miles out, so I could see the villages and where the route was going to, so I could estimate time for stopping, whether we could go and get some lunch somewhere, because when we were when we were trying to find places to camp or to stay, we'd slightly go off the Tet route and then come back onto it, so it's easy to find. My GPS, I had the track on, and I had that roughly running at around about 300 feet. Like I say, the Osmond Maps, I had it about 2 miles out. Along with this setup that I did, the only changes that I made to my bike is I put on SAE connector so I could plug in and charge battery or charge things from the battery. KTM 690 is got a power outlet, so that powered my phone while I was going along. It also meant that I could charge up a power bank while I was riding if I was camping, and that way I could charge everything up that I needed to. My GPS is powered into the bike, so that was how that was set up. Prior to going, I did put on the X-Trig preload adjuster, which is really good. It was really handy, just an 8mm socket, and you can adjust the preload. I uprated my spring from the 72 Newton meter spring to the 85 Newton meter spring, and it was just perfect for me, perfect for trails. I'm not going massive big G outs or anything else like that, so it worked out perfectly great. I kept the standard gearing on, which is 46-15. I've got the rally pegs on, of course, give me a bit of a wider stance, but this is mainly just the gear that I used that I'm going to go through. The Kriega OS base system along with the OS 12s, which is 12 litres either side, and it got all my gear in. And I used the Enduro Stand Tornado 2 20 litre bag, which I used the Kriega long cam straps I got from Kriega because they worked out brilliant. They were really strong, really robust, and I attached them directly to the Kriega base. So this is just strapped down onto the Kriega base. It's not attached to my bike in any way. It's just straight onto the Kriega base. Didn't move about anywhere. I used the 2 front loops that's on the front of the Kriega base to attach the front ones, and at the rear, when I came across on the rear, I've got my 2 straps that go straight into the back of my mudguard using the Kriega loops, and I just literally put the bags straight onto the Kriega base straps. So I'll show you how that went. So like I say, with the Kriega straps, I connected them directly to the 2 front loops that's at the bottom of the Kriega OS base strap. Brought the straps over, and then literally just put the hook under the strap, and in all the riding that I did, you can see it's just hooked on there. It never failed to come loose at all or anything else like that. The bag just stayed there. The only thing I did put was, as you can see, I put a little bit of anti-slip mat just to stop anything moving around. And also you can see how I packed my Crocs. These was the only shoes I took, you know, after my boots, because I kind of thought if these ever got dusty, at least I could wash them off and they'd be perfectly fine. So yeah, I used them Crocs and they were brilliant. Meant I could walk in any kind of water as well, and so it was all neat and tidy. As you can see, that's how I strapped it to the back and strapped it to the front there. Right. Just to show you what I had in the Enduristan bag, my 20-litre bag. This took most of my camping gear. Like I say, the bag was very, very durable. Brilliant bag, it just swallowed everything. So inside in my first bag, this was my coffee. I had a little stove inside here. There's my little stove, an MSR pocket rocket stove. 550ml titanium cup, just making coffee in the morning if I was camping. Inside there, my gas canister, my hot lips and all that, and that's how I made my coffee. I took these little containers, each one had coffee, sugar and powdered milk. I also had a spork in there if I could get anything to eat at supermarkets. My light that I could attach to my bike, my waterproof bottoms. In here was stuff like spare Krieger loops just in case any of them did snap, some chain lube, spark plugs for my bike, and also an Enduro Pro siphoning hose, so if we had any fuel problems and we could siphon from one bike to another. My cup when I wasn't using that. I also took along roughly around about ½ litre of engine oil, the engine oil for the KTM 690, just in case I or anybody else needed it, because we were 3 of us, we were riding 690s. Nobody needed it. This is my dirty air filter with an air filter sock. I use the Raid Garage storage box with the small air box. In the storage box went all my tools and 2 inner tubes, because I run tubes. So, and on day 2 I did have a puncture in the rear, and that was the only puncture I had, so it worked out all right in the end. I did take this Airhawk seat pad with me because it's the KTM 690 is notoriously got a hard seat, but I didn't need it, and I kind of just grew into the bike, so it was great. I didn't need that. I took these compression bottoms with me and I never used them. So in this little bag I had my recharging cables and a head torch, and it's just packed in there because when you're coming home you just pack stuff away, don't you? You don't really worry about it. So yeah, that had my head torch and my recharging cables, a disc lock for my bike whenever I left it anywhere. Because we've got a couple of Airbnb apartments and the bike were left outside, it's a really decent disc lock that worked wonders. a dry bag, a couple of bags, which I put dirty clothes in, a pair of waterproof gloves, which I never used, just some more straps, which I never used, my MSR Elixir one-man tent, and my luxury item, which is my Helinox chair, which I didn't get out. In this Krieger bag, I have on the top my Croc shoe, which I just put on the top. It acted as a good rest for everything as well. So my first item is my waterproof jacket. That was my waterproof jacket. In there. And here, again, my little pouch. This had my GoPro battery charger and a couple of power banks in. So that's what I would charge as I was going along. If one of these depleted, I would put one of these into the tank bag. One of my power banks, I would just put it into my bag and then put it through a cable through and charge it up off my bike. I took with me 3 pairs of socks for my boots. Yeah, socks. Keep your feet. And here, this is the first 3-litre pack that I had my clothes in. One of these has a couple of tops for in the evening when I went out, a pair of long trousers and a pair of shorts. And in my other one, this had all my underwear in, and it had a pair of thermals, like icebreaker thermals, which again I never used. So my second Krieger bag, OS 12 bag, I had my other Croc on the top, my wash kit, my towel, first aid kit and any medication that I needed to take with me, because I'm an old bastard. My Thermarest Neolite sleeping pad, mattress, my Seat Summit pillow, my Rubens Caucus 300 down sleeping bag. Absolutely brilliant sleeping bag. Packs really small, really light. Brilliant bag, ideal for these conditions. And in here I took my Rab down jacket for a night. I only used it once. It only got a bit cold during one night. But yeah, that's what was in the other Krieger pad. I was using the Krieger 9 trail pack, which I kept fairly empty. I did this, it had a bladder in, so I could put water in, and the only other thing I did do was I went and purchased these Krieger trail pockets. The only thing I would say is I don't think they're waterproof. I did have a bit of rain in Spain. Nothing ever got wet or that I could think of, you know, it felt a bit damp, but these were brilliant for having like gels if I was really hungry. Because of the sun and all that, I got my lips started to blister a bit, so in the heat. So yeah, it was handy just to have stuff like this in your pockets. my little tool to just do up my GPS so it couldn't be taken off the mount if ever I parked up. I also had some, although they're not in here now, some energy bars as well, which is handy for that. And also inside, because they got like elasticated pockets, I had my passport, I had my wallet in here as well. Just my bladder, so it's really good. In the back with water, and in the waterproof pocket, my glasses case, a hat, and some money I had, and like again I'd pack it out with cereal bars or energy bars, so there was very little in my pack. I would use it if I went into supermarkets to get food, if I wanted to go and grab a sandwich for the day or whatever. I normally wouldn't have it packed this much, but that's what I would do. I'd have the, have room in there for sandwiches and stuff like that, and as much water as I could carry, because even though we went in September, it was very, very warm. Like I say, we went towards the northwest, and in Galicia, I pronounced it right, we did have rain in Galicia, but only for literally a morning. So that was that. I used this Knox Urban Pro shirt that's got the abrasive bits. This was quite warm, even though it's vented. With the pockets, it's quite warm. I used a pair of over the boot trousers, only because at the end of the day, when it was sweaty, these were so much easier to get off than in boot trousers, because there's big zips up down the side. They were baggy, as you can see, kept me cool. But yeah, and Creos, which is an extremely light helmet. Yeah, what more can you say about it? It's really comfortable, really light, great helmet, well worth the money. And that's it. So just to conclude, whether I would do anything different, the only thing I think I might possibly do differently would be I wouldn't take a tent. I know that seems a bit crazy, but I think a lot you have to consider where you're going. Like I say, we were going to northwest Spain. We went into loads of campsites. We used campsites, but when we went into campsites, there was the availability of having cabins, and they were so much easier and almost hardly, not much price difference. There was 3 of us, so we could share the cost. We also had like Airbnbs where we just went off the trail, got an Airbnb, and the value was terrific. Getting full apartments with 3 bedrooms, with private loos and showers, and just really nice to be in. And they were like £70 a night. In English money, it worked out to be like £70 a night. And between 3 of you, it's like about, I don't know, what is that, 23 quid? The most expensive place we had a whole complete house, and the whole bottom of it was a garage. So it's like this huge garage that you could drive into, and that was only £100 a night. So split between 3 of us, it worked out to be £33 a night, which to me is cheap living, so, and the use of a full house. So if I was going to go back to Spain again, I mean, we might have just been lucky because, COVID and everything else like that, and there's not so many people traveling. But honestly, I only once did we have a problem not getting an Airbnb. We didn't use them exclusively. Like I say, we did camp, and then also when, like I say, when we went into campsites, we were getting the cabins if they were available rather than the tents, because I think mainly because we're kind of old, and you don't want to be packing away a tent first thing in the morning when you're a bit old and cranky. So, but yeah, but my advice to somebody would be, if I was to go again, I put my stuff out on my bivy bag. I would rather just take my bivy bag and a sleeping bag and a pillow and my mattress, and that's all I would take. I wouldn't bother taking the tent. I wouldn't bother taking the chair. It just didn't work out worth it, you know. And so almost like this top bag, I could have probably done without this top bag. So that was my bike setup. Like I say, I did use the RAID storage box. So under the seat, it's got 2 tubes in, and all my tools for mending a puncture. So tire levers, stuff like a pump. You know, that's what's underneath here. I hope it's of some use to people. You know, if you're thinking about how to go about it. Like I say, this was a 13-day trip to Spain. The trails around there was absolutely fantastic. It was a brilliant, brilliant trip. The scenery, just the trails, everything about it, fantastic. People were fantastic in northwest Spain, um, really friendly, great laugh, and yeah, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. So thanks for bearing with me if you've watched this video all the way through. Thank you.